They never should have split up. The last transmission from the 3 investigators inside Blackthorn Asylum was a wet, choking scream, cut short by the unmistakable sound of something tearing through bone and tendon, while a second voice laughed with a mouth that no longer belonged to any living person. Blackthorn Asylum closed its doors in 1978 after a string of patient vanishings that the official records still list as elopements. Locals knew better. Over the decades, at least 11 urban explorers, 2 maintenance workers, and 1 state inspector had walked through those gates and simply stopped existing. No bodies, no blood trails leading out, just abandoned cars in the lot and phones that continued to ping from deep inside the structure for days afterward before going permanently dark. The building itself seems to breathe on cold nights. Windows open and close on their own. Lights flicker in patterns that spell nothing in any human language. And every few years, another team of investigators decides the legends are worth the risk. This time, the team consisted of 3 experienced paranormal researchers. Marcus Hale, the tech specialist who had documented residual voices in 12 prior locations. Elena Mora, the sensitive who claimed she could feel residual trauma as physical pressure on her skin. And Daniel Crow, the lead investigator who specialized in historical hauntings and never left a site without answers. They arrived at dusk with thermal cameras, audio recorders, motion sensors, and a false sense of control. Within 40 minutes of crossing the threshold, every device began recording things that should not have been possible. The first hour felt almost routine. Cold spots dropped the temperature 20 degrees in the intake ward. Disembodied footsteps followed them down the main corridor, always 2 paces behind, and always stopping the instant they turned. Shadow figures slid across the peeling walls just at the edge of peripheral vision, too tall and jointed in the wrong places. Mora reported a constant sensation of fingers pressing into the back of her neck. Hale's EMF meters spiked into the red and stayed there. Crow captured a clear Class A EVP on the first sweep, a child's voice whispering, "They peeled me first," followed by wet chewing sounds that lasted 11 full seconds. Then the building decided to stop playing. Hale was the first to go missing. He had taken the east wing alone to set up a laser grid in the old hydrotherapy corridor. His body camera continued transmitting for 6 minutes after his radio went silent. The footage shows him kneeling to adjust a sensor when the wall beside him bulged outward like soft clay. Long grey fingers pushed through the plaster from the other side, each tip ending in a black nail, the length of a carving knife. The fingers found his shoulders and pulled. Hale screamed once as his torso was dragged into the wall up to the waist. The concrete appeared to turn liquid around him. His legs kicked wildly, boots scraping bloody arcs across the floor. Then something on the other side yanked harder. There was a sound like wet canvas ripping. Hale's lower half collapsed to the floor in a heap of intestines, shattered pelvis and twitching muscle, while the upper half vanished completely into the wall. Blood poured from the hole in thick ropes. The wall sealed itself a moment later, leaving only a perfect outline of his screaming face pressed into the plaster from the inside, mouth still moving. Searchers who later reviewed the footage noted that the face in the wall blinked twice before going still. Mora found what remained of Hale 20 minutes later. She had followed the blood trail after losing radio contact. In the East Wing hallway, she discovered a spiral of fresh human teeth, each one ripped out at the root and arranged with deliberate care. Further in lay Hale's lower torso, wedged into a rusted gurney frame. The ribcage had been cracked open like a lobster shell. Both lungs were missing. Deep claw marks scored the remaining flesh, and black fluid still oozed from the wounds hours after the attack. The skin of his face had been peeled backward in one clean sheet and pinned to the wall with shards of his own broken ribs. Mora's own body camera captured her vomiting before she forced herself to keep recording. That was when the temperature plummeted another 40 degrees, and the lights died. In the sudden darkness, something whispered directly into her ear canal with Hale's exact voice. "It wears the soft parts first." Maura ran. She made it to the old hydrotherapy room before the entity caught her. Later, recovery teams found her body suspended 3 feet off the ground by no visible means, rotating slowly clockwise. Every major artery had been opened with surgical precision. Blood poured upward against gravity in thin red streams that vanished into the stained ceiling tiles. Her eyes remained open and tracked the living the moment they entered the room. Her mouth silently formed the same 3 words over and over. "It wears us now." When deputies finally pulled her down, the skin of her back split open on its own with a sound like wet paper tearing. A second set of arms, grey, elongated, ending in needle-fingered hands, unfolded from inside her spinal column and lashed out, punching through the nearest deputy's thigh and attempting to drag him into the wall. They severed the arms with a fire axe. The limbs continued crawling across the floor for almost a full minute before going still, fingers still flexing toward the living. Crow's fate was worse because it lasted longer. His camera and radio never fully died. Instead, they became the entity's mouthpiece. For the next 11 hours, Crow's voice looped across every broken frequency in the building. At first, he begged. He described the sensation of invisible hands forcing his jaw open wider than the hinges should allow. He screamed, while something with too many knuckles pushed his own severed fingers down his throat one by one, making him swallow each knuckle and nail. Between the choking and the wet gagging, he laughed, high, broken, and wrong. He recounted how the entity rewrote his memories in real time, forcing him to relive the deaths of every previous victim, as if they were his own. He described watching his own skin unzip itself from collarbone to navel, so the thing inside could try on his ribcage like a coat. He spoke of crawling through the walls alongside the peeled faces of earlier explorers, all of them still conscious, all of them screaming without lungs. At hour 9, his voice changed pitch and began speaking in perfect unison with 11 other voices, each one belonging to a documented missing person from Blackthorn's history. Together, they recited the names of the newest search team members outside and invited them in. At hour 11, the radios simply started broadcasting the sound of teeth grinding on bone in an endless loop. Crow's body was never recovered. Only his left boot remained, still laced, still warm, filled to the ankle with a paste of ground meat and hair. The paranormal activity did not stop with the 3 investigators. It intensified. Cold spots now move through the building like living predators, dropping the temperature so fast that moisture in the air freezes into red-tinged frost on the walls. Scratches appear on camera lenses from the inside, forming words in reverse that only become legible when the footage is mirrored. More skin. Shadow figures with too many joints crawl across the ceilings and leave behind trails of human hair and partially digested tissue that still steams in the cold. Doors slam hard enough to splinter their frames. In the basement morgue, drawers open and close in rhythmic sequence, and the sound of wet coughing comes from inside the empty ones. Previous disappearances began resurfacing in horrifying detail. Thermal scans picked up 11 distinct heat signatures moving through solid walls in single file, each one shaped like a human who had been stretched and folded wrong. Audio recorders captured overlapping screams that matched the exact vocal patterns of explorers missing since 2004, 2011, and 2019. One EVP session returned a woman's voice, describing how the entity forced her to watch it wear her husband's face while it ate their daughter's eyes. Another captured a child, repeatedly asking if someone could please put her teeth back. The walls themselves bleed. Not metaphorically. Fresh blood seeps from the plaster in the exact locations where Hale's face imprint remains, and the blood types match the missing investigators. In the chapel, pews are now bolted to the ceiling, and the floor is carpeted with fingernail clippings arranged into spirals identical to the tooth pattern found near Hale. Motion sensors trigger in empty rooms and record the sound of heavy, wet breathing that circles the device for minutes at a time. One recovery deputy reported being touched by something invisible that left handprints burned into his Kevlar vest, handprints with 7 fingers. Another claimed a grey arm reached out of a mirror and tried to pull his tongue through the glass. The mirror shattered outward and the arm vanished, leaving only a smear of black fluid and 3 human molars embedded in the remaining shards. Blackthorn Asylum does not hide its dead. It collects them, it peels them, it wears them. The entity inside has no single shape. It is a patchwork of every person it has ever taken, skin stitched to skin, voices layered over voices, memories forced to replay behind borrowed eyes. It walks the halls smiling with faces that still remember their own names. It waits at the windows after dark and presses those faces against the glass whenever new headlights appear at the gate. Every team that enters adds another layer. Every scream becomes part of the chorus. Every severed finger, every peeled face, every pair of upward flowing arteries feeds the thing that lives in the walls and wears the soft parts first. The 3 investigators who vanished on that final night are still inside. You can hear them if you stand in the east wing long enough. Hale still screams through the plaster. Maura still mouths her warning while her extra arms scrape the floor. Crow still laughs between wet swallows and invites the next curious soul to come find him. Blackthorn Asylum is not abandoned, it is full. And it is hungry for the next skin that steps through its doors, believing they will be the ones who finally document the truth and leave. They never leave. They only become part of the truth that wears their faces and waits for you.